Good day, ladies and gentlemen. How are you, everyone? I hope you're doing great. Welcome to our webinar entitled What's Next? We will talk about the strategy and control, business and functional levels. We are your MC for today's webinar. I am Trisha Maybe Imbrido, together with my co-MC,
Sheila D. Visperas.
and we are pleased to welcome you as you listen to our lecturers for today. Right, partner?
Yes, partner. Today, the following speakers will tell us what will be the next step after the implementation of the plan, which is evaluation and control. Before we go to the exciting part, we have prepared a game in which you are all welcome to participate and win a regular load.
Here are the mechanics. As you can see in the screen, there are 5 clips of Ning Ning that will appear in the whole program. So I need your full attention and catch Ning Ning twice by taking a screenshot.
You will upload 2 screenshots into the Google Forms to have a chance to win 30 pesos regular loads. We will pick 3 random winners.
I hope everyone participates with our game. Remember, you need to catch Ning Ning twice for you to have a chance to win with our game. So hold on to your seats, prepare your minds because we are about to begin. So before we start with the main point of this webinar, let me first introduce to you the president of the PEPS organization, Ms. Angela Lalimarmo, as she officially opened this webinar. Ms. Lalimarmo, good day.
It's such an honor to be with you all today. As we gather for today's event, this webinar will talk about business level strategy evaluation and functional level strategy evaluation, whereas the speaker will discuss the different approaches on how it helps the company to achieve its success and to face its challenges. If you are going to start your business, or maybe your company might facing some challenges, then this webinar is for you. We are hoping for your active participation, and to make this webinar more exciting, we prepare some games and of course the prizes to boost your mood in participating in this event. So, I'm not going to make it any more longer. I know you guys are excited to hear our speaker. Again, thank you for joining this webinar, and please do share this webinar to reach and help the others. A pleasant morning to all of us, and mabuhay!
Thank you, Ms. Angela Limarmo, for sparing us your time to attend our webinar despite your busy schedule. Thank you, Ms. President. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce our speaker today, who is going to talk about business level evaluation and benchmarking approaches. This is a subject in which we should be all deeply interested because it helps us to maintain the health of our company so that we can best ensure our business success. She graduated from Universidad de Dagupan with a degree of Bachelor of Science in Business Management. She is currently a strategy manager from one of the top companies in our country. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Sheena de Guzman.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, and thank you for inviting me here today. It is such an honor to be one of your selected guest speaker for today's webinar and be able to share to you my knowledge and understanding about what's next, strategy evaluation and control in business and functional level, the theme and title for today's webinar. To start my topic, let me share to you my presentation. So, good day everyone. My topic is all about Chapter 13, Strategy Evaluation and Control, Business and Functional Levels. In this chapter, we have business level strategy evaluation, so our learning objectives in this topic are the following. Next slide, we have define business level strategy. Examine how firms compete in a given industry. Business level strategy involves decision making, and this would help the firm or the business to monitor or examine their competitive performance, whether it gives an advantage or disadvantage to the business. Next, companies' policies, goals, and actions to deliver value to customers. Business level strategy is a detailed outline which incorporates a company's good governance. Ito yung policies, goals, and actions nila which lead them to give importance and value their customers, which gives an advantage for the business. Next slide. What are the two broad business level strategy? First, we have competitive strategy. It's defined as the long-term plan in order to gain competitive advantage. Competitive strategy is the management's plan for long-term purposes where the company uses this plan to compete effectively and secure the competitive advantage of the company. Next, cooperative strategy refers to a planning strategy in which two or more firms work together in order to achieve a common objectives. Kumbaga, ang cooperative strategy is the partnership ng dalawang firm or company because they work together to achieve a common goal. Ang pinaka-aim ng strategy na ito is lessen competition. Kasi instead na yung dalawang company or firm is maging competitors, ay naging partners na lang in order to increase their profit through cooperation with the other companies. Next slide is the difference between business level strategy, cost leadership, differentiation, and cost-focused strategy. First is the cost leadership. Cost leadership being the lowest cost producer of services, production process, or commodity. Cost leadership, it is the term used when a company projects itself as the cheapest manufacturer or provider of a particular product or commodity in a competition. This strategy focuses on increasing profit by reducing operating costs and charging lower prices. Next is differentiation. Strategy provides customers with something unique, different, and distinct item from their competitors. In this strategy, the firms need to be creative and innovative in order to create a unique, attractive, and high-quality product or services na hindi ino-offer ng ibang companies or business, and this strategy can attain a competitive advantage. Next is a cost-focused strategy concentrates on developing products or services by a niche market. In this strategy, organization tries to attract potential customers. In order to attract more customers, the firm should have a deep understanding of their customers' needs. The firm should add something extra that customers can get anywhere else. In this strategy, the firm should also need to decide whether to adopt cost leadership or differentiation. This is because the focus strategy is not only enough to win substantial market share on its own. Next slide is define strategy evaluation. Is the process by which the management assesses how well a chosen strategy have been implemented. Strategy evaluation, ito yung process ng pag-review or pag-evaluate sa performance ng organization and measure how successful the firm was after the strategy implementation. Next is the what are the tools used in conducting strategy analysis. First, we have the BCG Growth Share Matrix. Is a tool used internally by management to assess the current state of value of a firm's unit or product lines. BCG stands for Boston Consulting Group Growth Share Matrix. The purpose of this is to help the company decide what it should keep or sell or invest more in, which is only pertains to the internal management of the company. Next is the very well-known and common na ginagamit when it comes to strategy analysis is the SWOT analysis. Is a method for identifying and analyzing internal and external environment that shape current and future operations. SWOT analysis stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. This analysis is used to help the person or the firm to identify the internal and external factor related to the business. This analysis is also helpful and useful to develop strategic goals of the firm. Next slide, we have what are the included in the business level strategy evaluation report. So given here is we must include first the present strategic position of a company in an industry, the probable position of competitors in an industry. Third, a gap analysis between opportunities and a company's competencies. Fourth, the possible market needs served by a company and its competitors. Fifth is the possible action needed to address and deficiency. Next slide, we have benchmarking approach, the last learning objectives of this topic. Benchmarking approach, it is a tool for evaluating the performance of a company against its competitors. Benchmarking approach refers to the processes of evaluating and comparing the current products, services, and processes against its competitors. Using this approach would help the firm understand how and where the organization need to change in order to improve their performance. Next slide, we have the following procedures are to be followed when benchmarking. So first, we have to choose the area, activity, product, or process to be evaluated. In benchmarking, importante na maging matalino ka sa pagpili kung kanino at saan gaganapin para mas maging effective yung process ng evaluation. Second, determine the basis of measurement. Third, select industry leaders. Of course, we must select the effective and efficient one for the benefit of the business. Next, we have to gather information from reliable resources. When it comes sa pag-gather ng information, syempre kailangan yung factual, galing sa mga reliable resources because this information would be helpful for the improvement of the product or services, lalo na kung yung business is kinakailangan na ng development. Next, the firm must also compare the performance of the company with its competitors. And the sixth one is determine the gap. Next is to develop a program to close the performance gap. And lastly, after we followed all the procedures, the firm must implement the program. And that is the end of my presentation today. And I hope that you learned something about my topic. Again, thank you so much for inviting me here today. And it was been my pleasure to share to you my topic for today's webinar.
Thank you very much for that very informative presentation, Ms. Sheena D. Guzman. We have learned so much from your presentation. Are you guys still awake? That's a lot of information right there. And to those aspiring businessmen and those who already have businesses, it will be very helpful for them to achieve their objectives. And I am privileged to introduce to you the most powerful figure in the fields of management and auditing. Many major companies throughout the world have sought his assistance. He is currently working as store manager at Ace Hardware City Mall, Mayombo. He also graduated as magna cum laude from the Universidad de Dagupan. Let's welcome Mr. James Soriano.
Thank you for that introduction. Actually, it's my first time to be invited as a speaker in this kind of event, so I hope you learn something from me. So what I'm going to talk to you today is the two different approaches in evaluation and control in functional level. This is essential for the organization to have deeper understanding to its performance. Halimbawa na lang ako, as a store manager in Ace Hardware in City Mall, Mayombo, I'm in charge in day-to-day operation of the store. And aside from that, I'm also in charge in preparing a report if the store was able to meet its sales goal. Ngayon, hindi lang ako yung magpre-prepare ng evaluation because we have this called responsibility center approach. From its term responsibility, there are managers that are being assigned and being accountable in different centers. We have these 4 centers named cost, revenue, profit, and investment center. So let's begin with the cost center. Managers here focus on costs and expenses only, and its primary objective is to minimize the cost. For example, the human resource unit is evaluated at the cost center since its department is incurring costs to pay salaries, programs, trainings, and other benefits for the employee. We are not expecting any revenue to recognize in human resource unit. It's just incurring costs. That is why it's evaluated at cost center. And to evaluate, it uses variance analysis, which simply differentiate the actual cost and budgeted amount we planned. If the actual cost is lower than the budgeted plan, it means it has a favorable performance. Meaning, pag mas mababa na yung na-incur na expenses, it turns out the department under this cost center is performing well. Next, actually this revenue center is not being practiced in real life, it's just being used for theory since this center prioritizes generating revenue but ignoring the following costs. Kaya parang hindi siya ganun kagandahang basihan ng performance ng isang company since we might have revenue but we cannot assure that we are earning since it's ignored the costs being incurred. That's why we have this profit center. Its goal is to generate profit, which is revenue minus the cost. This is where I belong as store manager in Ace Hardware. I evaluate the performance of the branch here in City Mall using variance analysis, which is just comparing the actual profit to the targeted profit. If the actual profit is higher than targeted amount, we can say that the variation turns favorable. Pero hindi lang doon nagtatapos yung evaluation because we are also reporting why we are able to exceed the target profit, and if ever the variation turns out unfavorable, we are going to examine where did the store fails. And last center is the investment center. It is almost same with the center profit center. It's just generate profit, and managers here are in charge in investment of the organization. Unlike the profit center where I only in charge in one branch of Ace Hardware, while the investment center managers evaluating the company itself as a whole, from branching out, expansion, acquiring, utilizing, and selling operating assets. Investment center is being evaluated using ROI or return of investment. Return on investment or return on cost is a ratio between the income and an investment. A high ROI means the investment gains compared favorably to the cost. So that's all for the responsibility centers, which is very self-explanatory. You just need to remember that there are managers being assigned in respective centers for them to evaluate. Now, let's proceed to the second approach, which is the management audit. Pag naririnig natin yung word na audit, ang pumapasok sa isip natin is pag-audit ng pera or words related to checking or inspection. Auditing is a vital for maintaining internal control and helps detecting and preventing various kind of fraud or irregularities. Ngayon, sino ngayon itong mga nag-audit? Definitely, hindi kami mga managers na nasa iba't ibang responsibility centers kasi kami mismo yung subject for audit. This job is assigned to internal audit staff of the company under the provision of Audit Committee of Board of Directors. We have different types of management audit, and the first one is the financial audit. It is conducted to evaluate if the financial statements of the company are fairly presented. When you say fairly presented, it should be under compliance of the accounting standards, no errors that may suspect for fraud, and it should be supported with the documents. Actually, financial audit is mostly conducted by external auditor. It is because it's more reliable if the auditing of financial statement is from a third party and not from the company itself, knowing that the financial statements are being prepared for the external users of the company. Next is the operation audit. From the word operation, the internal auditors are evaluating the effectiveness and efficiency of the different operating activities. They are identified the areas are need for improvement or possible risk structure. Most of the time kasi minsan surprise ang pagpunta ng mga internal auditors sa staff sa store for checking if we are able to store the different inventories properly and maintaining the good ambience of the store. So as a store manager, kailangan talaga prepared kami lagi. Next is the human resource audit. This is evaluation of performance of human resource and its various activities. Its primary objective is to determine the shortcomings and lapses in the implementation of human resource functions and to take remedial actions. As a store manager, I'm also in charge in preparing schedules and salaries of the employees. So what internal auditor do is they have this long checklist of the following policies and identify if we are able to follow all of that. Napaka-vital nito, as they said, the human resource is the best asset of the company. So we make sure that we don't have any problem in HR, or if happens there is a problem, we should put immediate remedy. And lastly is the marketing audit. It is evaluation of marketing activities, goals, objectives of the company. The purpose of marketing audit is to sort through resources and figure out which of these strategies are working and which are wasting your budget. Tinitignan nila if nag-work ba or effective yung mga marketing strategies. If not, what are the following recommendation for improvement? So, yun lang yung management audit. You just need to remember that this is conducted by internal auditor to evaluate the performance, competence, and capabilities of functional level managers. So, that's for all for my presentation. Sana may natutunan kayo ngayong araw.
Thank you, Mr. James Ryan Soriano, for an enlightening and entertaining presentation about management audit approach. I'm sure that the participant learned a lot from you.
Thank you for allocating your time and efforts for this webinar, Ms. Sheena De Guzman and Mr. James Ryan Soriano. It was a great privilege to have you here today.
Again, to show our appreciation, we give this certificate of appreciation to acknowledge your effort in sharing your knowledge to us in strategy, evaluation, and control, business, and functional levels. Given this certificate on 18th May of 2022, signed by our club chief executive.
I hope we learned a lot today as we listen to the presenters about their topics, which is strategy, evaluation, and control, business, and functional levels. I hope you guys can use this knowledge and lessons that you gain here as you manage your own businesses. We also appreciate the time and effort that you've given in attending and listening today. Without further ado, we would like to welcome Mr. Vice President Jermaine Biala as he closes this webinar. Mr. VP.
Hello everyone! Alam ko marami kayong naging take-hours dyan at natutunan kanina sa discussion at presentation ng ating speakers today. By the way, I'm sadly to say that we have to end this webinar. But before we leave, I would like to thank the speakers, Mr. James Ryan Soriano and Ms. Sheena De Guzman, for their effort, insight, and discussion, making this webinar more exciting, vibrant, and informative. Also, thank you to the event MCs, Ms. Sheila Vesperas and Tisha May Invido, for making this ordinary event into extraordinary and memorable experience. Let's all give them a round of applause for their hard work and excellent performance at this memorable event. Most importantly, I would like to express my warm appreciation to everyone who attended the webinar. Your active and dynamic participation helped to make this a successful event. I hope that everyone obtained knowledge and management strategies through getting intellectual appreciation to understand strategy, evaluation, and control in business and functional levels. Again, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to join here today. Keep safe and enjoy your day.
Thank you all for being here today and taking the time to listen patiently to all of our speakers. I hope that you have learned a lot from this webinar and bring the lessons that you gain into action. May your businesses and your work be successful. Thank you and have a blessed day ahead.